Boom.
Going live on Facebook. What's up, everybody? Hey, thanks for being on, you guys. We had some technical difficulties there at the beginning, but so excited to have you all on. Um, we have Hunter from SpokeX as our special guest. What's happening,
Mm.
Hunter?
What's good? What's good, man? What's good, guys?
Dude, it's good to see you, bud.
Yeah,
Um,
dude, you too.
I know we pushed the podcast back because you had a meeting going on tonight, and that's
Yep.
part of the reason why one of the reasons of your story.
Mm.
But before we get started, holy cow, Hunter, you already have a ton of people in the audience. Big shout outs here: Trail Dogs, MTB's in the house, Vegas Mike is in the house, Austin Willett is in the house, Adam Mock is in the house, EMTB A Rod is in the house. Let's see. Am I missing anybody? People are popping on. I think I said Vegas Mike already. Oh, Vegas Mike says, I'm leaving. Pacific Yeti's in the house. What's up, Joey Yates? So, man, already a packed house. Thank you all for being on. And Hunter, the owner of SpokeX, I am super happy to have you on the podcast, bud.
Yeah, dude. No, I'm super stoked to be invited to be on here. It's awesome.
You're doing some great things in the community. I see a lot of giveaways. I see the tent at Vail for the races. You're supporting riders. I actually popped into your shop the other day, saw all the different wheel sets that you were doing. You were taking me through education on the different hubs and what they do and everything else. So your business is on fire, and it's a pandemic, which is amazing. And how? I guess let's just start with the whole. How did you get here? How did you get to SpokeX?
Yeah, well, and yeah, it's funny you like say that. I mean, being I would be like to say COVID born. It's so interesting, like because most businesses are kind of you're either in the outdoors industry and you're exploding, or you're in like the dining industry or something like that. And it's been a struggle for a lot of people. And we're definitely super grateful, which is the first thing that I want to put out there. We're super grateful for everyone's support like through this and like through this entire journey that has been. And yeah, so SpokeX was it honestly was never like, if you had asked me 2 years ago like what I would be doing in 2 years,
Uh-huh.
I would never have said owning a mountain bike shop. I mean, it's just completely like my life has completely taken a left turn, and it's been a wild ride, and I've been loving every minute of it. It basically started like as it was a side hustle, to be honest. Like I was basically I was living down in San Diego with a couple friends, and I was just getting into mountain biking, and I had met a guy up on the trails up in Orange County who actually was like a part owner of a shop. So that guy gave, basically we kind of hit it off, and I ended up buying some stuff from him, and then we started talking about, moving more product, and all of a sudden, like fast forward a month later, I was buying, I would go up there every month, I'd pick up about 30 lyrics or pikes, or pike ultimates, lyric ultimates, and I would flip them in like, it was like a week and a half, like 2 weeks, and I would go up there with like, all of a sudden, like I would drive up there with like 15 grand in cash,
Oh
and
man.
making these huge purchases for forks and components. And he was like, dude, like there's some, like you have something, like there's something here. Like this was probably about a 6 month period until he actually approached me about this and was like, he's like, I've worked with like a lot of people. Like, he's owned a bike shop for about 30 years. He owned one down in Brazil, and and he still does actually send a lot of parts down to Brazil. And he's like, I just, there's something special here. And, he basically was kind of like he was kind of my mentor, and like guide into like pushing me into like, let's do bikes, let's do this and that. And like, I was already like, I had started dabbling in wheels, and like I was working for someone else in San Diego, and
Mm.
everyone that I had come in contact with, I was finding like flaws, not like, and I don't want to smash on anyone's business at all, but it's like, there was just ways that the customers were being treated that I wasn't really like aligned with.
Mm.
Um, Especially being new to mountain biking, and like, seeing people getting taken advantage of, and this just wasn't something that I jived with. So I decided to start building wheels out of my garage.
Oh,
And basically from there, like literally just the support of everyone in the community, like, you know, the videos, and like I'm always like down to jump on and like talk about like what I'm doing and like do the giveaways and like, you know, because it's like, you know, everything was given to me. So like I feel almost a responsibility to give back what was given to me. So that's kind of why we decided to, you know, decided to start doing the giveaways too, was that just like fit in, like aligned with kind of like, because it's not just like, this is not just like me in business, like this is me in like all areas of my life. So, you know, it jived, and then like more opportunities keep coming. We started a nonprofit, which we hope, you know, it's still in its infant stages. And basically it's like, you know, getting youth and people that can't afford, you know, younger kids that can't afford to get the bikes that they need to do these heavy duty races, the equipment they need. So we're hoping that kind of starts taking off, and we can start helping out the community. But that's really the foundation of this, was, you know,
wow.
to give back to the community in the mountain biking industry, obviously. You know, things that we didn't, you know, things that I didn't see happening. You know, we're trying to kind of fill that hole, I guess,
That's
is really where we're at.
That's awesome. Filling those gaps and being able to identify them is huge. When and it's just the crazy happenstance that you ran into this guy in Orange County. Was
Pretty
it
much.
somebody that you used to ride with, or was it just somebody you met on the
So
trail?
it's no, well, so we had actually had talked on Pink Bike at
Okay.
one point, and then we ended up like running into each other on the trail, and so that kind of flowered a little relationship,
Mm,
and he became like my mentor, you know, through all this. Like, you know, he's the first one I call like when there's like something, you know, whether it's an issue I run into business or just whatever, with all the accounts that we're opening, and, you know, dealing with like, you know, high ups at Yeti or whatever the manufacturer is. You know, he's always been there to guide me. And then on the flip side of that, like not on the business side, like he's also been kind of, you know, he's been the person to guide me in the right direction. Like, because it's not just like business, you know. And it's, and it I mean, it kind of is, because like business to me, like at least this business encompasses so much more than
mm,
just like, you know, what you'd think of when you think of business, which is, you know, a for-profit company or something like that. Like this is so much more than that. My life's almost enmeshed with this. So everything has to be aligned for it to run properly, if you
mm.
know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it definitely is way more than just a profit and loss statement on a piece of paper. I love that SpokeX has a heart and soul behind it. I mean, basically, it's your passion. It's a lot of you, and starting that nonprofit organization for kids who don't have the proper equipment or have any equipment to ride bikes is awesome. I think when I was in the shop, you were telling me you had a couple bikes out, or you're building some setups for these folks. What is the name of the nonprofit that you're putting together, or that you've put together?
So I don't want to butcher this, but so because our race team manager Tony, big shout out to that guy. I love that dude.
Shout out to
Um,
Tony.
Shout out to Tony. That guy, I believe it's Rad Youth Group, which is Ride All Day. So it's dot a dot d. Um,
Sick.
and so basically that is going to be its own entity, which, you know, raises money for these kids. And then, you know, obviously since we have the access to, you know, bikes at cost and all that good stuff, we can, you know, do the donations to Rad. Whether it's like, okay, we're doing like, you know, and we still haven't gotten to that point yet where we've started discussing like what we're exactly going to do, like in terms of like, I mean, you know, we have other things to feed off of, you know, whether it's like, okay, we're going to get a bunch of bikes together and like donate it to this group of kids over here, or we're going to donate parts to maybe a high school or something like that. That is all still in discussion, but, you know, along at least my vision, like along the avenue that I want to be going, with that specific entity. And it's just specifically, you know, getting kids equipped with, especially like, you know, kids that have like, because there's a lot of kids out there that you watch them ride and you're like, holy crap, like this kid has like what it takes, you know,
Mhm.
with coaching and the right gear, like this kid could go somewhere. And when you see it. So like, um, you know, and then there's like, just mountain biking in general is just such an expense. I mean, I remember when I was first getting into it, I'm like, holy, like just the amount of money you can spend just getting your bike dialed.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
just to stop there for a second, we are so blessed to be able to like do that, to have a hobby that we can actually, get bikes and parts and go ride. Like there's so many people that can't. So, it's I think it's something that gets taken for granted a lot. There's just so many people that wish they could and they can't. And I guess that's kind of where we want to go in, and the kids that really have that and it's more about the just desire, like, and the willingness, like, because for me that's where it starts. Like if you have the willingness and you're going to be showing up for practice and you're going to be putting in the work, like we want to be able to help and support that.
Man, I love that. EMTB A Rod right here says, "Yep, Rad Youth Foundation. This is great." Haley Bernstein says, "To the vision there, kind of like a wheel. Your passion has to be aligned properly for it to work correctly."
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
kind of like aligning to your true. Trail Dogs here says, "Changing lives through passion projects is so rad." And you got Adam Mock on there says, "Preach it, preach it." Love it. Austin Willett says, "Love what you guys do. It's inspiring."
Thanks,
So,
man, I appreciate that.
Hunter, you had mentioned if we were to tell you like 2 years ago, you'd be owning a successful bike shop and moving up to the Temecula area, being really involved in the community and doing some outstanding work, you would say we were crazy. Can you take us back to what was happening two years ago that would have made you think that way?
Yeah, so I mean, and I could talk for an hour about just that. And it's always been in a different setting, so it's really interesting. And when I like reached out to you, that was like me making the decision that I was going to get honest with like some of the stuff that, I've been through, that's gotten me to this point, and like why I'm like passionate about all of this stuff. Um, I mean, I don't want to like, just jump into like just all of the details and stuff, but basically, you know, I had a really rough past growing up, and I struggled with basically my grandfather and my uncle were both like heavy alcoholics. What's my uncle died from cirrhosis, and my grandfather also passed from cirrhosis of the liver. So they were both
Man,
like just heavy duty drinkers. And that, like, it, and it kind of, whether or not you believe it's a disease or whatever, like I'm not here to like talk about all that stuff. All I know is that, I had a rough childhood, like, whether it be like in school or like not feeling like I got fit in anywhere.
mm,
I turned to other vices to get me through that. And, I look back on it and I realized like, I like that was like my, drugs and alcohol were like my coping mechanism for getting through like things that I wasn't aware of how to get through. And, we all deal with as kids, like trying to find something. We all want to fit in, and we're always trying, as a, a young mind, you're trying to figure out like what it is that is gonna like, get you through, I guess. And for me, it was drugs and alcohol, and that took me down like a long, journey basically of like, well, first off, there was like the first, 4 to 5 years where it was just like I was just a cyclone. And
mm,
basically got to the point where like I couldn't get clean because I couldn't fathom the idea. Like first off, I couldn't stop. And I think that's one of the things with addiction where like a lot of people are confused, and it's like, well, like, why don't you just stop? Like, you having all these negative consequences, why don't you stop? And that's a topic for, people to kind of figure out on their own. but I couldn't, like, that wasn't an option
Mm.
for me. And there's certain things that lead to that, to like being able to get over that. Um, and I couldn't keep going on with how I was. So I was basically at this like point in my life where I was like pretty much ready to die.
Wow.
Like where there wasn't any option left.
Wow.
And you know, luckily, a series of events happened in my life that led me to seek help. And that started opening the door for me to, I started working on myself and practicing different things in my life, which led to, you know I mean, I've gone down like a whole journey of, gone through, meditation practices and all these self-healing practices, and that's what I practice every day. And for me still today, it's all about like my daily reprieve. Like, so basically, like, my model is that I wake up pretty much every day with untreated alcoholism, and
Hmm.
like, what do I do today to treat it? Just like if someone were to wake up with, like, if say you're struggling with depression or something like that, like you wake up, you take your medicine or whatever you've incorporated into your life to help you, reprieve that depression. It's kind of the same thing for me. That's kind of the same way I look at it. So I have my morning routine, and I usually go to an AA meeting at night. But anywhere's like really like where this has gone for me is um, the people that I met early on in recovery that I basically say like saved my life.
Mm.
Saved my life. Like, so like, these are like, and there's, we call them like, I call them like, the person that took me through my recovery path is called a sponsor. And basically he's a mentor. So like, yeah, fogging up here.
Oh no, no, that's okay. I mean, this is, you were saying that you were to the point where you felt like it was going to be the end, and a couple of things kind of lined up for you. Was it did you wake up with a different perspective one day? Was it an influence of a friend?
No,
Or
so it wasn't waking up with a different perspective as much as, um, and like, I think where I was going with that was more like, what was give. So these guys basically, they drop everything and they take you through, like the steps. And so the principle there is to give away what was given to you. And
Hmm.
so that's kind of the principle that, like, I carry with me every day in life. So when, all of this happened, it wasn't like, it was more of how can I incorporate like this part of me, which is like my recovery, and, and me trying to be the best human that I can. Because that's really like the goal for me, is like when I was, back using, like, I wasn't a good person, like in my addiction, in my disease, I wasn't a good human being. Now, when I walked through that, and, took the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and like got through that, and, I continue to work the steps every, like, not every day, but, I practice them every day. And you know I wanted to expand that, not just there, but into my business as well. So that's kind of like the foundation that I built it on, which is, really interesting.
Yeah.
But that's, I think, why we're, trying to, and it's something that anyone can get on, like helping other people. That's kind of one of the core beliefs as a human being, is, you know
Mm.
helping out your fellow man.
Mm.
So it's not like these like wild principles that no one's heard of or anything like that, but it's something that's just more prevalent in my life, just because of the stuff that I went through in the past. And, the things that I have to do every day to maintain that, because, like, just like everything, just like the rest of my life has been, like, if I don't stay on top of my stuff, like, I'll go back to where I was, like, in an instant. Just kind of like, if you stop taking your insulin or something like that, like, it's not gonna go over well for you. So yeah, and I mean, so and that's kind of like where that I think that's where like when you said SpokeX has a soul,
Hmm.
I think that's like a cool thing. Like I've never heard that, but I can see like why um that you said that. It's really cool, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, of course. That's what I see when I walked into the shop and when I talk to you and you wear multiple hats in there and you're showing up. And I didn't realize the backstory behind where you had been. But how cool is it that these sponsors, you know, are such great influences on your life? Adam Mock says, "Love your raw honesty and courage to share your heart." Yeah, man, totally, absolutely. And I'm sorry that you went through that, but man, how happy are we all on the line that there is a SpokeX here supporting the community, and we have a hunter that's behind the scenes making it all happen.
I appreciate that. And like and that's the thing like too. It's like I appreciate the sympathy, but at the same time it's like a lot of people do ask me like would you change anything? And like I would absolutely 100%. There's nothing that I would change in my past. You know, I've gone through the things that I've gone through and they've made me into who I am today. So like for that there would, you know, I would not change anything that has happened to me. And I really think like, you know, it's like, you know, it's sharpened me into like the person that I, you know, have always been meant to be.
Mhm.
So if anything, that was like a necessary experience for me to get to where I'm at. Like we all go through trials, we all go through tribulations. Mine's not any gnarlier than anyone else's because everyone experiences their own, you know, crap and baggage in their own way.
Yeah,
So, you
good
know,
point.
and I think like that's like the thing to take away from this more than anything is like, um, you know, how are you going to use like your, how do you use your like trials and tribulations to make you a better person?
Mm,
Because if like for me that's like where, you know, everything lies. It's like, okay, if I'm projecting on someone or I'm judging someone, like what is it in me that's causing me to do this or to
mm,
judge this person or to label this person or to, you know, throw my crap onto someone else? And like that's where, you know, I would turn inward, and try to, you know, do some, you know, reflection on myself and try to heal that. So I think like if anything, like that's really more why I wanted to share my story was definitely not to get sympathy from anyone because I've you know I love who I am today and there's nothing that I would change about the past. Um, I think it's just more like awareness like around like, you know, like the thing like we all go through different stuff and like, you know, we like know like a lot of in, you know, in especially in today's society it's like such a thing that's swept under the rug is like really getting on and like talking with someone and having like some vulnerable conversation. Like that's like, you know, that's kind of what we were talking about on the phone the other day. It's like this doesn't happen.
mm.
I do it every day because, you know, I go to these meetings and like that's what happens. Like we get honest like about our stuff and men, like older men, like men of all ages, which is not something that you see in society today. And which is sad, honestly. I mean I wish we could.
Yeah, right. It's like a cultural thing to kind of push things down, but it takes, you know, the strength to be able to get those things out. Isaiah Bernstein says you're living out the 12 step in more ways than one, which is awesome. And I like what you said about everything that you've been through has created who you are and that you wouldn't want to change anything about where you've been. And it kind of just reminds me that, you know, we all have our stuff like you had said, and at the core of it, it's this seed. You can look at it as a seed that you're going to plant to do good for the future, or you can look at it as poison that's just going
Mm.
to take you down. And I love the fact that you're planting the seed and impacting others. Where you are now, Hunter, I know with the business and with the nonprofit, you're being able to give back. Are you at a level, or I don't know how this works, but are you now a sponsor for other people?
So and so yeah, so we definitely that's definitely so I actually get emails all the time from kids like sending me their videos. I love it. Like I love like just like watching them and like whether or not I initiate a conversation with them. So that's actually going to be a little bit like, I mean, Tony's kind of managing the race team, and then they have their, coach Shad over there that's, doing all of that stuff. So I kind of pawn that off to them for now. We're not like so, and there's also two levels of sponsorship. So like I think, and a lot of people might confuse it, but there's like a factory sponsor and then
Mm.
a shop sponsor. Because I think there's the because I have gotten emails from people where they're like, oh, like here's my videos, and like then all of a sudden they want to get set up with a bike and like all this stuff, and it's unfortunately it's like it just doesn't work like that. And it's such like a, I mean, there's so many more aspects to it than just being like here's a bike. But the factory sponsors are going to be more of like so that's like whether or not that's from Yeti or Fox or whatever. Like those are going to be the sponsorships where they're like going to gear you up. Kind of what we're doing right now is more like if you make it onto the race team, and you become a part of SpokeX race team, you get a jersey and all that stuff. Then you get access to parts at cost. So and you do get some perks, like you always get PNG stuff, and like sometimes things will come through, or there'll be a donation where they pay. There's definitely perks. I think I'm not sure what they're doing with race fees and stuff like that, but there's definitely perks to it. So, but basically, like I'm kind of trying to keep. So SpokeX Race Team is SpokeX, but at the same time, it's also its own entity. And like as we're growing as a company, it's getting to be too much for me to for me to kind of like oversee. So that's where the delegation is, and so there's people in place obviously that are just amazing, and are kind of so yes, we definitely are like always willing to like take on more people. And I think it's a little interesting because usually there's like a time of year when that would be like the beginning of race season, like when they can go out and practice and get ready for the race and stuff. But since we're newer and we just started it this year, I think they're always willing to like bring people on. So that's definitely, and the best way is, obviously you email us, and then we'll forward that to the right person. And then if they decide to reach out, they'll reach out. And I'm not sure how Tony's running it, but I'd be guessing you'd go out and ride with them, and they talk to you and see if it's a good fit.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, and thank you for answering that question. So, for those of you folks out there that were thinking about sponsorships, that's a good way to go. And I guess that was a twofold question. I was also asking, as far as on the AA side, are you
Mm.
also sponsoring other people now, or I don't know how that part works of the program.
So right now, I'm not. I'm working with. I just I just picked up a new sponsor the other day, and I'm gonna go through the steps with him again. And then when I finish, then I would, So I'm my old sponsor. There's gonna be some like he moved up a little bit further away, so that I kind of separated that off, and so I'm going to be working with another guy, and then I want to go through his steps, and then once I see how he does it, then yeah, then But as soon as you finish the steps in AA, technically you can become a sponsor. I'm a little bit busy, like so. I would just, and for me, it's like one of those things too. It's like when I ask someone to sponsor me, or say I go through a new person, and it's not like a one-time thing either. So it's like you're considered like usually like every year or whatever, however long it takes you to go through. But I mean, it's something that's continuous. So um, I want to make sure that too, like when I do decide to start doing that again, that it's I'm able to dedicate the right amount of time to someone, because for me, I know like when I'm asking someone to sponsor me or take me through the steps, it's like, my life, like at that point, my life's on the line.
Mm,
So, I want to make sure that there's, adequate time to available to be able to do something like that. And right now it's like, I've been so busy, man. It's like, I would feel, sometimes I feel like I'm almost like, sometimes I'll be driving and I'm like, I see my gas light come on and I'm like, I don't have time for this.
that's
I don't know if you've ever felt like that, but it's an interesting feeling.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing at the same time, right? It's like, holy cow, I don't have time for this right now to gas up the car because 1,001 things. And I love about your business is your turnaround time. Like you want to keep it quick, you want to keep it fast, you want to keep people happy in and out so that they get what they need. You get them back on the trail. And just going back to the whole sponsor thing, I was just thinking because of SpokeX having the soul and you being there, it's kind of like you're able to kind of sponsor in a sense. You're overlooking these racers, these riders, and making sure some of these are kids, and I see you post up their podium pictures on Instagram, and it's so awesome because a lot of these kids are virtual right now with academia and things like that. If anyone that they may come to is you guys if they have issues and stuff. So I love that you're involved that way with the kids and the race team. It's awesome.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm like just so blown away by like it's like, and they're out there, like they're the ones out there every single day, like riding and, working at it and like timing their runs down and trying to want to, get, it's incredible to watch. And like, that's for me, like, back to the beginning, like what I was talking about, it's like, that's what draws me to someone specifically is like the willingness, like to, take on something or, especially if it's like you make it your goal that you're going to podium this year, like seeing them like, start training and really carrying that out. That's for me like the most important thing because, I think as humans we have the potential to reach anything we set our mind to. So, if it's there, if like, that willingness is there, then we support you 100%.
That I love it. I love it. And seeing the progression, I mean, that's got to ring a bell when you're seeing these kids or even adults, whoever they are, just really putting your mind to it and getting better and progressing and, seeing that growth has got to be satisfying.
It
You know
is.
what? One of the things I was talking with Aaron from the Trail Dogs, I think he's on tonight, is he was getting a wheel set up, and you were showing me this hub system that you were building, and I told Aaron from Trail Dogs, I go, dude, I think that was your wheel set that I was looking at, because he's getting this awesome. What is it? A carbon fiber, Aaron? If you're on the line.
I don't think that was his. I'm pretty sure he's getting. I think I know for a fact he's getting the fluorescent onyx hubs with We Are One, and We Are One
Oh,
is
dang.
it's an interesting. I definitely like wanted to like just to touch on that. Like, so we've been. I don't know if whoever's been watching our like Instagrams obviously seen like our post of the We Are Ones, and it was cool that we decided to bring them on. So like right now in the industry, and yeah, we're trying to keep our lead time down. But like this week has actually been like probably our worst week in terms of that because like we've gotten to the point where it's like we're like maxed out. Like we're doing our absolute best like to keep and lead times right now. Like if you go to I-9 and order a wheel set, it's going to be like 60 days until you're even getting a shipping label or anything like that sent over. So we're trying to keep we at first we were trying to keep everything like 4 to 5 days. Now it's moving a little bit more into like the 7 to 10 days.
Hmm.
But We Are One was such a cool company to bring on because they were one of the only companies, like when I was fishing about 4 months ago for a new carbon manufacturer to bring on, and it was down to Envy, Knox, We Are One, and Ibis. And they were the only ones that actually were like, order as many as you want. Like we're gonna set this up so if you order like because I was talking about the quantity that we wanted to do, and they're like if you're gonna be placing those orders, we'll make sure they get out. We Are One was the only company that said that. Um,
Oh
and then
wow.
after we did like testing and stuff like that, and actually rode the wheels, like that was the company. It was cool. It all lined up because on all the wheels that we had rode, that was the one by far that took the cake. I mean, like
Wow.
not just their warranty, but their ride feel. Because when you get on carbon rims, they're just ultra stiff, not forgiving whatsoever. So, and their technology, it feels like you get a little bit of the like alloy feel almost, but you get that carbon stiffness, but you get that forgiveness over the rock gardens, that you wouldn't expect out of carbon, which really kind of was a surprising shock to us. And they've been able to keep us stocked, and we love supporting their company because they do everything in house in Kamloops, Canada.
Mm.
So their QC process is impeccable.
You showed me one of those wheels. Actually, the person who built it signs off on it, right? It was like a signature
Yep.
of the builder on the wheel.
So and actually, yeah, not the person that actually does the carbon layup,
Oh,
which
that's
is
amazing.
right, because like even if you're looking at companies like Envy or Ibis, most of that process is done overseas, and it's just kind of they've gotten to the point in their business where they couldn't manufacture as many rims as they needed here for the cost that they needed. So that's when you start seeing things move out of country. But um they're still at that point where I think they're like 3 years old. They're pretty new, but like pink bikes all over them, Vital MTBs. I mean, you find them everywhere. I think they just won. I, Someone just sent me a link the other day. I hadn't gotten time to read it, but I'm pretty sure they just won an award um for something with their rims, but or it was like best quality for like the price or something like that. Which I just 100% agree with. I mean, I wouldn't feel any difference riding a $3,000 NV set versus the $1,700 We Are One set, and you get
That
the lifetime warranty, which we're able to actually do. Like I actually talked to the CEO, so we're actually able to warranty those rims in like with our stock, which is like super
that's
rare.
great. That's
So
so you just got to be able to make it over to SpokeX and everything's handled. You don't have to mail them off here and contact this person over there, right? You just come on in, see
which
Hunter.
right now is like going through a warranty process right now has got to be horrible. I
I
mean,
could imagine.
I can't imagine if like I hit up Envy the other day for like 3 or 4 wheel sets, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no problem. Like we'll have them out by June." And
Wow.
so I can't imagine if they're 4 months out on a wheel set, like
Wow.
just on a new rim, how far they're out on a warranty. I'd assume at least double that.
Wow. Wow. How cool is it that We Are One is the one that stepped up and said, hey, order as much as you want. And it ended up being the preferred ride for you guys. That's just, I love it when things line up like that.
It's been awesome, yeah. And we've been
That's,
super, and that's another thing that also kind of fits like what we were talking about earlier, because like I'm super brand oriented. So for me, like the way I do business is my relationships with people. Like, so the people that I either click with or vibe with or whatever, I like to build relationships with the people that I order product from, like just flat out. So you can know like when you're coming into our shop that we handpicked everything there. Like there's not just stuff like laying around that we haven't even either tried or like extensively researched or anything like that. So because we just brought on POC, Ride Concepts,
mm-hmm.
which are going to be are kind of like apparel gears. So yeah, and I think I've been talking with, so Garmin also came on, and then Thule, and they all have reps in the area. So like that's how I've kind of been growing those relationships. But yeah, that is definitely something that I look for before I bring a company on.
That's huge. Yeah, relationships are huge because if you can vibe with them and you trust them and they know their stuff, it means a lot. You know, people doing business with people they like and there's a good product in there. That's definitely a win-win all the way around.
Exactly. And like in the industry, like you run into it all the time where a company is just so big that they've pulled, because you see it in the mountain bike industry a lot. There's probably I'm not too familiar with a bunch of, but I know a lot of companies do have these outside reps where big companies like hire people to be like to rep that area, and some companies have pulled away from that, and like it. I mean, I get it, because like it only takes one rep to like make a bad name for a company, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you had a bad experience with this guy that's repping this company, and then you're like, well, I don't like that company. I get it, but it's also like, for me, it's been super important for us as we grow. But there are companies that I'll run into that don't, and like Yeti's one of them. And like, so Yeti doesn't use any outside reps. They only use inside reps. So anyone that I contact to like order a bike or just to talk to, I'm assigned a sales rep through Yeti. And they're all in Colorado. So they're all, at headquarters at home base. They used to do the outside rep thing, but they pulled away from it when they had, someone that made a bad name for them.
Mm.
But I've had a great experience with them, and I love Yeti. I love working with them. I love their bikes. I love like how they ride, how they look. The brand that they've created for themselves is impeccable.
Yeah.
So there is that. At a certain point, it's like, I went after the brand a little bit more than like the sales rep, where I would like, it's funny because like I will like, when I start to vibe with someone, I'll want to like get to know their company more, and like, and that's when I brought on Pac, because the guy, came into the shop, and we talked for like 5 hours. Like
Wow.
it was like all day, and I was like, all right, let's do this. Like and dude, Pac I just started. So they have a new shoe coming out too, that and I don't know if anyone knows that Pac dropped the Cordal helmets. That's a cool thing. So we got first access there. I don't even know if they've released. I haven't checked their website in the last 2 days, but I know last week when they came in that they weren't even dropped on the website yet. So we're starting to get some early access stuff too. So that's always cool.
Yeah, isn't that like a few months out or even a year out before those
The
quarters?
Cordal,
Yeah,
I
that's
heard that's what I'm hearing. Like he just hit me up the other day, but I don't think Pac has. I don't think Pac has dropped it on their website, but I was hearing that they're not even going to be available, like from the big companies for a while, and we got our first shipment in, and I'm a little bit worried about how the next ones are going to go, but we still have some.
yeah. I was looking at those. Those things are beautiful, and those are. Yeah, I'm looking on their website right now. I don't see it. I don't see it on there.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, if you guys want to see the pot cordal helmets, hop on into SpokeX. Hunter, how many of those things do you have
I
in
think
stock?
I think we have like 7 of them left.
7 left. There's one that's a really cool color too. Color
They,
combo. It's like a
was that the Moonstone that what you saw?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that one sold.
Oh, of course it did. That one was really awesome.
Dude, that one I love. I just like because it feels more like a downhill, like it's got the downhill vibe, like in the back, where it's not like, it kind of sits a little bit lower on your head.
Uh,
And it's got that boxy look to it, which I really like. Some people like the Tectile more. That's been their enduro helmet forever. And then the Cordal was like their response to like the hardcore enduro scene that's really coming out right now. And I think they moved the Tectile is going to be more of like their like all mountain type helmet, where the Cordal will be more of like that free ride category,
yeah, looking
which
here
we're
on the
which we're seeing with a lot of bike companies too, right? Like a lot of like, propane, like some of these new bike companies, Norco, propane's newer, but like Norco and a lot of these bike companies right now are starting to, like, you'll see if you're going to look on their sites, you'll see like a free ride category, which hasn't, that's kind of like something that's starting to pop up too. So I think, and I mean, it's been around forever, but I think just in the last year, it's been starting to get a lot more popular with people doing like this, especially with bikes becoming so capable, where it used
mhm.
to be like it was like super dialed, whereas like you have this bike for cross country, this bike for gravel, this bike for downhill, whereas now the enduro bikes are like just like you don't need a downhill bike at the park anymore. Like
Yeah.
you take your enduro bike up there.
Super boost. That was something you taught me when I was in the shop the other day. Super boost.
Yeah, I think there's a few things this year that we're gonna like really start seeing a lot more of, which is number one is mullets. So mullets are, pretty much every company that's dropped a new bike this year is dropped the mullet line. And that's becoming super popular, which, and I'm riding a mullet right now, and it kind of makes sense because it's like, you know, when I first started riding, it was I was riding a Nomad, and the thing that I didn't like about the Nomad was, its rolling speed
Hmm.
and like its ability to plow over rock gardens. Then you get the jib though on the back, which is awesome. Then when I rode the 29, I was like, this thing's a tank, but it's slow around turns. So like you're really taking like, the awesome part of a 27.5 and throwing it on the back, the awesome part of a 29 throwing it on the front. And like I've been super stoked with how it's riding. So mullet bikes are going to be huge this year. Um, yeah, I think and that I started adjusting for that too. It's like instead of stocking even numbers of rims, it's like let's stock odd numbers of rims. That way, we always have, at the end, hopefully we'll have something, have a set paired or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah,
that's very cool. I heard you guys ordering some more stock when I was there, and I remember I heard you saying that you guys were going offset a certain number of the 29, a certain number of the
exactly.
27.5. So that's
Ex-
cool.
ex- yeah, exactly. Like instead of ordering, like normally, like I would order, say I'm going to order 100 rims, and 100 of them are going to be, or sorry, if I'm going to order 100 rims, 80 of them usually would be 29, and 20 of them would be 27.5. That's honestly like the right now, like about the average of 29 to 27.5. But now instead of doing that, I'll do an odd number of 29 and then odd number 27 to pair the mullets because they're just becoming super popular. Super Boost is also something that I'm not sure if like I know Evil did it. I'm not sure how many other companies are really going to start bringing out Super Boost, but I feel like we're going to move in that direction just based on what we did with Standard to Boost. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, it makes sense. Like the bikes are getting gnarlier, the bikes are getting more capable, like able to take just massive hits. So it makes sense that they keep stepping it up. I mean, it's I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, in the next couple years, like the standard was Super Boost. So, I mean,
And tell the folks that are listening, either live or in the podcast, when you say super boost, you're talking about the diameter of the axle, correct, or
no,
is it the width?
so yeah, so boost was basically like basically when mountain bike, like when through axles came out, like there was standard spacing, like that was like the standard all the way through, and that was referred to as, it's 15 by 100 in the front, which is 15 is the diameter and 100 is the width, and then in the back it was 12 142. So that was standard spacing all the way through. Then with all the gnarlier bikes coming out, boost was the response. Like that was like, okay, how do we fix this issue with the hubs to fit the wider bikes that we're making? So basically, boost is a 10 millimeter boost in the front of space. So you go
Mhm.
from 100 to 110, and in the rear, it's a 6 millimeter boost. So you go from 142 to 148. So
Mhm.
that was technically boost. Now, super boost is interesting because technically super boost is really only in the back because you step up from 12 148 to 12 157.
Oh
So
man.
that's the super boost in the back. Now some people call super boost like in the front, but technically it's really not. It's just like downhill, like axle basically, because the super boost in the front, they didn't step up the axle width. All they did was step up the axle diameter. So that's what
Mm.
I was kind of explaining to you. Is kind of interesting because I don't think technically there is a super boost front yet, because in what boost is a they're boosting out the axle. So if a super boost front would be, like a one, instead of it being 110, it would be like 115. But it's the same width, it's a different diameter. So instead of it being 15 110, which is like what you'd see on any single crown fork, like a downhill fork's going to have a 20 110. So and I mean, some people call it a super boost front, but I don't technically think it is. I think it's just a downhill, like fronts, like downhill axle in the front, basically.
Gotcha. Like a thicker radius for that front. So yeah.
It's just
Like, so
the axle is just like, the axle in the front is just much thicker
yeah.
than, and most hubs have the ability, like most, like Hydra does 100%. Like you can, and that's a cool thing too. If you're running like we're gonna have 165 demos in the shop for the park. So there's gonna be
Dang.
one of them's gonna have a dual crown fork too. So like we're gonna have, one wheel in the wheel in the front will have a Hydra, and it'll have 2110 axle in it, so for the dual crown. But then if someone is like, hey, like I don't want a dual crown, I want a single crown, like it's just the axle kit. So you literally just like pop the wheel off, slide the axle out, put the other axle back in, throw on the new end caps, so you can convert back and forth. So you could, it's the same hub, but you can run 2110 or 15110, so you can switch back and forth between a downhill and a single crown, which is kind of cool.
That's very cool. Yeah, you could have your normal everyday around here Greer, and then you can have your Snow Summit component
Exactly.
there. You can jump
Exactly.
on.
Without having two separate wheels, just one wheel, but two
That's
separate forks.
that's pretty nice. A couple of comments here from the audience. Austin says, trying to get me some of those ride concept shoes. Definitely go see Hunter because he has some pretty sick ones in there. Um,
I think we got their like three main. We got like the Power Line, which is like their DH shoe, the Helion, which is like their enduro, and then the Live Wire is kind of like that's kind of like their all mountain, like do it all shoe. And then we don't have any transitions, which are their clipless, but we can get those obviously. And then they also have another one called the Vice, which is sick, which I really like. I think I'm gonna start rocking it. It looks like a Van shoe. Remember we were showing you that
yes,
one.
it totally looks
It's
like a Van shoe.
straight up. It's got like the gum like color on the side,
Yeah,
and then it was like camo. Like it was, yeah, it's a super sick shoe. So I like those. I would rock those like every day. Like those things are dope.
they had the waffle sole on the bottom that looked very similar to.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was cool. Austin, if you're on, go ahead and put in your shoe size on here. We could probably Hunter probably tell you if he has it in stock right now. Trail
I
dog.
know. I know we have like. I know we got like when I was ordering, it was like there was like four popular sizes. I think it was 9, 9.5, and then like 10, 10.5, and then there's like some 11s, and then like one 11.5, I think. So pretty much everything from 9.5 to 11.5.
There you go, Austin. There you go, buddy.
There you go,
And
buddy.
Trail Dogs MTV asks, is Super Boost exclusively on 29ers right now?
Uh, I mean, the only company I'm super familiar with them doing it on besides downhill bikes, which no, like I wouldn't say it's exclusively on 29ers, because like the V10 comes in 27.5 or mullet or 29, and it's
Hmm.
super boost all the way through.
Oh, there you go.
I'm not super familiar with what Evil's doing on all of their bikes. I'm not sure if they're 27. I don't know too enough about Evil to speak on that, but um, I mean, it shouldn't be exclusive. But I would definitely, like, if there's a 27.5 bike, you're like wondering if it has it. I mean, you could always look it up.
Yeah, I wonder if Aaron has that little chip flip thing that he can go from a 29 to 27 and a half in the back of that Evil that he's got. But anyhow, he may be set up for a mullet with Super Boost. It could happen.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, if we're talking from a hub standpoint, like a hub is not rim size exclusive. Like I don't have to get a 29, a hub that's compatible with a 29. Like all the hubs are straight up the same. Like the compatibility on a hub is the whole count. So
Hmm.
as long, if we have a 32 hole 157 hub, I can lace that to any 32 hole rim.
Hmm.
I don't know if that answers that.
I think it might. He's quiet right now, but Austin says I wear 10.5, baby. So consider those 10.5s probably gone. Austin will be coming in and swiping those suckers up. Hey, so let's move into the part of the podcast where we talk trail talk, because I got to ask you a question on trail talk. So there's been rumors at Greer over by Jumping Mouse that there was a mountain lion spotted out there, and Hunter potentially was the name thrown around. Was
Yo,
was
that's
was the
so
brave
funny.
soul that scared that thing out of there. Is
What can
this
I say,
true?
bro? Yeah,
Tell
I
us,
mean,
man. Is this a
dude,
real thing?
that's so funny. How far has that rumor gone?
It made it over to the segment. I was like, damn, I got Hunter coming on the show. I got to ask him about
Dude,
that.
that's so funny. I think that's like, oh yeah, and, well, unless it was from Aaron, because Aaron was the one that told me about it. Because some random, I mean, I didn't know the guys, but like I was just riding up there, and then like I was coming around, and um, like the dudes were just like gunning at me. They were just like, I was like, and I like pulled up, and I was like what, like what's going on? And they were just staring, and they're like, we literally just watched the mountain lion follow you all the way across that. They're like, we literally thought I was gonna jump out and like attack you
Dude,
as you're riding, and I was like, oh,
sketch.
well, I didn't hear it though, so I was just like, all right, and
what's,
I never.
what's going on, fellas?
Well, I just thought it was so funny because they were like just like they looked pretty like they were like straight up staring me down. So yeah, I mean, I guess that happened. I didn't see the mountain lion though, and then like I mean, I haven't heard of any other sightings or anything like that, but they said it was like a big ass thing, like walking through the bushes. So I
Damn.
guess that rumor's true. Yeah.
Oh, there was another post that I saw that actually somebody, a hiker, has spotted the mountain lion over there by Jumping Mouse, and they said it was not a puny little thing. It was completely muscular and healthy. so,
That is
so
sketchy, man. Yeah, no, we were riding after that happened too. Like we had a few night rides. We were testing out some new night riders, and like yeah, I was thinking about it, dude. I was like, holy, like we're like if something happens right now, we're screwed.
yeah,
Like that would
yeah.
suck. That would suck to be attacked by a mountain
I know. I should get somebody on the
lion.
podcast to teach us how to what we do.
Right.
I guess we put the bike up in the. I guess we get big, right? Get big and loud, and show them that we're the bigger, scarier animal
I
out there.
I guess like I mean like just like when we were up in we were mountain biking up in Mammoth right as it was like right in like I think it was like middle of June or something like that, and we were camping like in like right at the base, and a bear, like these chicks that were like at the adjacent campsite, and we are kind of like all talking at the campfire, and like they left their like door open to their car, and like this is like 1 a.m. and like a black, like we heard like kind of like the ruffling, and we looked over and the car was like not even 20 feet from us, and there's just a
Oh,
big bear like going through their car, and like
jeez.
my buddy was like yeah, that's exactly what he did. Like he didn't run away like or like move away, like he got close and then he did some whistle at it. So I mean, I'm guessing like yeah, that would probably be, I mean, I have no idea how to deal with the mountain lion, but
Yeah,
I guess don't like run. That would be my assumption.
yeah. I
Or
think that's bad,
definitely,
right?
I think definitely no. Like also, I think there might be a misconception of like trying to like get on your bike and like ride as fast as you can away from it, and you'd probably get swallowed whole.
Yeah, those things are fast.
I don't think, yeah, unless you're Aaron Gwynn, I don't think you'd be dipping out.
Yeah, I think you got to hold your ground and stand big
Bring some
and just
dogs.
yeah, something.
Sacrifice.
the,
Dude.
the tomahawks here says Hunter, mountain lion hunter, and Trail Dog says Hunter the lion hunter.
Yeah.
The Trail Dog says
That
it was the hunting decoy.
uh yeah, I guess that's what you do. If there's an online, just hit me up. I got you.
Austin says pepper spray and lots of pepper spray.
Is that, would that really work, or would that just piss it off?
I don't know. I mean, watching that video of the guy who was being where was that? Was that in Utah? The guy was hiking and he came across the cubs and he just slowly backed away. The mountain lion kept telling him to get out of there. It almost looked like every time he bent down to get a rock is when that mountain lion kind of lunged at you. So it almost seems like you're better off to stay tall and big. I don't know. Something I should probably find out, especially
Yeah,
for all riding Greer.
I mean, yeah, hopefully no one encounters that thing anytime soon, but that is definitely sketchy to know that it's
Totally.
like, I mean, clearly it's there, like, and it's like hanging around and not going away.
Yeah. The
So,
fact that it was following you is sketchy.
well, yeah,
Cat.
and in like broad, I mean, like, I would think that they would be hunting more at like night. I really don't know much about mountain lions. So I feel like an idiot right now if I'm saying something stupid, but I would, I mean, I thought that was sketch because there was a bunch of people out. Like, it's not like, I would
Yeah.
think that like if there's a bunch of people and like there's like noise and like people riding and talking, that they would kind of be hidden away. So the fact that
Right.
it was like out there in the daytime kind of is like, whoa, that's kind of sketch. It must not care. Maybe it was, I don't know if it was hungry or what happened, but yeah, it's sketchy. And like
Yeah.
the place that they're talking about too, like, is that little like right when you come around, like where you go the up and then down, and then you kind of come around that corner.
Okay.
Um, I'm talking about on the road to Jumping Mouse, and then you can take that alternative route up and then come down, and then you hit that corner, and like that's where they're talking about. So like all those bushes right before you hit that last little berm into the opening of Jumping Mouse. So like I
Oh,
guess they
jeez.
I guess they watched it. So that was like at least 600 feet, like all along that little ridge right there, right to the opening or to
Oh
the
my
beginning
God.
of Upper Jumping Mouse is where they said like it like a little bit before where Upper Jumping Mouse what like comes out. That's where they said it kind of like dipped out into the bushes.
Oh, geez, Louise. So that whole little section where you're kind of turning right and you can go up, but you're just kind of like slow turn right. You avoid that little like cutout to the right, and
Exactly.
you're in that little pathway, and you finally
Hmm.
get to the big drop in area for Upper Jumping Mouse. That's a long pedal now for all of us to go through.
Okay, no, 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 no. I'm just talking about regular Jumping Mouse.
Okay.
Look, that is like that section though, like between regular Jumping Mouse and Upper Jumping Mouse is like
Mhm.
that's where it was kind of chilling. Like
Mm,
that's where he was. So
good
um
grief.
and which is interesting because there's not very much cover over there.
Yeah. That seems like an odd spot to be
Yeah,
chilling. to
yeah, I
be
think
to
so.
be seen. Man, we got Calavera Chronicles says Hunter El Matador. Austin says they make pepper spray for bears, so he assumes that it'd work on mountain lions too. Joey
Bear
Yates,
mace.
Bear Mace. Joey Yates says Carlos. So he must be giving a fist bump to Carlos. So speaking of trail talk, well, Hunter, what are your favorite trails here in town now that you're up in the Temecula area? And it doesn't have to be Temecula area either. It could be anywhere. Where does Hunter like to ride?
Dude, we always are riding. It's either Greer or Vale. I mean, like we're pretty spoiled with those. Like right, I did hit Trail X the other day. Like when like I have a customer come in that is like looking at a bike or whatever. Well, I'll take them out. I'll kind of tow them into X Trail to ride around there, which is kind of like fun, just up and down.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm either at Greer with Javi or I'm at Vale. You know, either riding with the kids that are like getting ready for the race or just hitting Matco ladders, um, Rocky Top and North Shore. Those are definitely my favorite runs for sure at
Th-
Vale.
those are so fun. Have you been there since they cut that new trail that goes
Yeah,
basically? Yeah,
yeah,
that's got a Greer feel to it, doesn't it?
yeah. It was kind of, and I was like, I was like, I think we hit it like the day. It was like, I can't remember if it was a day, and it was like still like all clay. Like
Yeah,
it was super fresh and sticky.
freshly
I'm not gonna lie though, like I'm honestly like the regular trail down a little bit better. I like the speed that you pick up, and then like when you start hitting that rock garden and then
yeah.
pop out. I like that. I honestly like that trail a lot. Like I like that way down a little bit more.
I always I always kiss that bush at the bottom because I you go down that rock garden, and then that's
You
hard
gotta like, yeah.
left heading out there. We called it. We rode it the other day, and there was that hail bait drop. So Joey Yates and Kelly MTBKO, we were calling it the Hay Trail,
The
and
hay
Adam Mock was
trail.
with us.
Sick.
That's fun. Yeah, those are great trails, man. We're so spoiled. And geez, man, SpokeX is right across the street from X Trails. That's
I,
a lot of great stuff too.
That's like that was not even someone actually thought like when we first opened, they're like, "Is that why you're Spoke X, like Trail X?" And like
Oh,
that wasn't even a like that was never a thought in my head, but it was kind of cool. Like how
and
close we are. It's literally across like you just ride across the street.
it's funny because people are like, I think Intense, test their bikes on some of the X Trail, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
dude, Hunter's closer than Intense is now. He's the
Uh
guy.
did you know too that like the unit the unit adjacent to us was actually DT Swiss's like old headquarters. Like they had like they've recently moved to Colorado, but like we missed them by like a few months, I heard.
Oh, dang!
Yeah, it was
Wow,
interesting.
that's cool. That's
That
very cool.
I was like that would have been freaking sick, dude. If I could have just walked over and like just like put in my order or whatever.
That would have been too convenient, right?
They still got their sticker on the window too, which is crazy.
That's cool. That's cool. Wow, that would have been a great spot for it to have everybody over there, in that area.
Dude,
Um,
I honestly love it, man, just because it's like I didn't want like the walk-through traffic of a normal like bike shop on like a, in like a like we looked at don't get me wrong, we looked at like the retail spaces and like we were gonna be in like a shopping center. That was like one of the ones that we had chosen as like our top favorites. And I'm super stoked we ended up going with that. And like we're looking at buying out the place next door. And so I'm starting to talk to that guy about that and when his lease is up and possibly like leaving like so the area like my goal or idea was to have the area that we're in now like build it out into like a full showroom so the whole place is a showroom and then the unit next door would be really like like the where they're building wheels and doing maintenance and stuff like that but it's perfect for us because we're really like I mean we definitely sell a lot of wheels and like shout out to Transcend man like I love Ernie great dudes over there and like they've helped me grow and like I'm always so appreciative for that they're always sending me business which is awesome and I do get a lot of local people which and I love working with like everyone there. But we've been like a lot of my business that's been like really like blasting me off has been like I mean I get most of about 60 to 80% of our orders we send out, which is a trip, a very big trip. We sent something out to Guam the other day and Australia, and we do a lot of
wow.
shipments to Canada. So like people are really like it's crazy. And word of mouth, just like as word of mouth travels here, like each person that buys wheel sets from us in other states, like they're all repping, and like word of mouth is spreading over there. So it's kind of just been like this domino effect, which is cool. And like that was kind of my goal too. I mean, it's 2021 it's the middle of COVID, there has to be some level of e-commerce, to support a business. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, it's just kind of like the reality of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely were turning those wheels, but I mean, you do such a good job with them, and they're so beautiful when they come out that it's. I was going to ask you, did when you looked at getting into a business, did did the wheel aspect of the mountain bike, was it like a meditative thing? Is that what drew you to being like a specialist in wheel build, or
It's
how?
interesting you said that. Yeah, like it was really crazy when I first started building wheels. I literally, it was like, yeah, it was like this is like a meditation, like, and it's such a trip because it still is. I mean, I love building wheels. I haven't been able to build as many as I want to recently. Um, oh, out of my like, and I that's another thing too is like I trained a lot of good people, and I love the fact that they're able to do it themselves and I definitely want to, I definitely need to find time for me because that's like my passion is building wheels.
Mm,
And I mean, but it's also cool to, pass that on to other people. But definitely, dude, I definitely think that had an aspect of why I got so like into it. I also was just like, it also was just like a very niche thing that like not a lot of mountain bike shops do. Like, I mean, every mountain bike shop can true a wheel. I mean, that should be pretty standard all the way through. But like, there's not very many people that are just like building wheels, like, hand built, hand tensioned wheels. And I think like that's just it's a part of the mountain bike industry that's so underlooked, and like the most important part of your bike is your wheels.
mm,
And ever people immediately jump into like dialing suspension and drivetrain when like you really the first things you want to dial are all your contact points, like your bars, your saddle, your wheels on the ground, your rubber. I mean, like those are like, those should be the most important for me. Like that's the most important part. It's like first I get my wheels dialed, then my saddle, then my bars, then my grips. Then I start looking at suspension. Drivetrains absolutely last for me. It's like, it's everything like SLX to GX, like to XX1 to XTR. It's all just so good. Like the
mm.
shifting perform, like I really don't notice much of a shifting performance between GX and XX1. I really don't. It's just more of a weight thing, like you go from like a pinned cassette to a machined cassette. So for me it's like, you know I just feel like, all of these wheels now that are on bikes, like as like a, mostly 99% of any big companies builds are coming stock with a machine built wheel. Like it was laced by a machine, it was trued by a machine. They're straight pulls, they come out of true fast, there's no warranties on them, they're pretty much made to be replaced. So that was like the idea. It's like, let's change that. I mean, the goal for me is for SpokeX's custom wheel set to be on like a stock build. Like, you order this kit from whatever company, and our wheel sets across the board on it. Like that I think that's the goal, like changing things up a little bit. I mean, that would be, that's like way down the road, but that's kind of where we want to go to, because that is like the most important part of your bike for sure.
Yeah, that was funny. You and I were talking about that, the contact points, and how that's going to be your main experience. I mean, those are the things that are touching the ground. You know, if you think about a sports car, you wouldn't roll a Porsche off into the mountains with some kind of like gooey, feely, like you'd want them to be stiff and responsive, and you want to feel the road, you want to feel the trail, and
Exactly.
and I love that. MTB Rad Dad is on tonight. What's up, Adam? Good to see you. Reaching out all the way out to the Palm Springs area with MTB Rad Dad. If you guys get a chance, check out his YouTube channel. He's got a ton of great information on there. EMTB A-Rod says absolutely agree. Adam from MTB Rad Dad says people seriously underestimate what a nice wheel set can do to a bike. Yeah, totally backing up the point.
I mean, it literally changes like like every feeling of like yeah, I mean, but when you get, it's almost like getting new suspension. It's like, every part of your ride feels completely different. Like, especially when you go from like an alloy to like a nice carbon set, and
Mm-hmm.
even past like just the rim, like, I mean, the hub is like so important. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I, hear from people after they buy a wheel set. They're like, there was this section I was like stuck on, blah blah blah, and like I was able to ratchet over it, and like, you know, especially when you're getting into a sport that's like it's like split second decisions change the outcome of your next move. It's like being able to, when you think what you're going to do next, and you transfer that down to your feet and to make that move, you want it to happen. You don't want this delay, and like that's what upgrading a hub really does. So I think that's also super important. But yeah, like going from alloy to carbon, it's like, it's like you're plowing through rock gardens. You just feel more comfortable. Like when you're hitting a berm, it's like you feel like you're supported all the way through it, rather than like slapping a berm or something and you feel like your wheel is gonna fold in half, because like I mean
Right.
it definitely can happen.
Yeah, yeah, we've seen that pink bike fails where people's bikes are folding in half. That's definitely not a good thing. That's definitely not a good thing. So on this part of the podcast, we're gonna head over to so for Trail Talk. Unless there's anything else on trails you want to add to it, I want to head over. I thought the MTB Rad Dad was a great way to segue over to some YouTube. So one of the things that I enjoy asking my guests is, what does Hunter watch on YouTube? Who are some of the YouTubers you'd like to shout out or say that you enjoy watching their content?
So I definitely shout out to MTB Flow for sure. I love that guy.
Dude, Arturo is a ripper.
Yeah, I like Arturo a lot. Miltonator, shout out to that dude, because he's actually I've heard rumors, and forgive me because like my guys are like doing their thing too, and they come and ask me, and so this the rumor I heard is that he is going to be a SpokeX ambassador. And
That'd be
then
sick. That's a good person to have.
so I got to meet him the other day. He seems super rad. Shout out to Troyden, love that dude, and shout out to Carlos, love that guy. He was like the first person I don't know if you saw his video, but he was my first like customer, dude. When I started my company, I was in a garage.
Wow. Wow. And what's the name of his YouTube channel?
It's Calavera Chronicles.
Oh,
I think.
he's on. He's
Yep,
on
there you
tonight.
go. I was supposed to go change his bearing tonight, but we're doing this instead.
Well, he says here 690 POE save me at Spaceballs. That trail Spaceballs is really sketchy, rocky, crazy descent trail. But he says that 690 POE saved him at Spaceballs. So
I
awesome,
bet.
awesome, awesome. Um, yeah, a lot of those writers are great. The ones that you named off, the Miltonator, absolutely, MTB Flow, Calvera Chronicles. I always see him and my buddy Joey Yates there when they're on rides, and they write some pretty gnarly stuff. And
Nice.
who was the other person that you had mentioned?
Troyden.
Troyden. Is that the
He,
name of his YouTube channel?
he's Instagram more.
Okay,
He
Troyden.
he
Troyden.
does he does reviews for Worldwide.
Got it. Is he a local guy or a SoCal guy or?
Yeah, he's SoCal. He's like up near Newberry Park. So
Okay.
actually that's so shout out to him, because we're linking up with him on our next giveaway. So that's starting March 1st. So if you want a free wheel set, jump in on that.
Yeah, what do they got to do for that? I mean, that's around the corner.
Yeah, so on Monday, SpokeX we'll shoot out a post on Instagram, and Troyden will shoot out a post on his Instagram, and
Okay.
his Instagram's just Troyden. I think it's like it's just TROYDON,
Okay.
and it's
Troy.
just the same. It's been the same thing as it's always been. It's just like follow this, follow that,
Okay.
tag a
That in
friend or whatever. Same thing.
Gotcha. Like the trail dogs have, and like all of us, we have that so we can build the awareness around the product and the people. That's cool. That's so
Yeah,
cool that you do that.
and the idea is to get as many people obviously like in it as possible, to give people a fair chance. Yeah, so that's going to be something. So we decided about 2.5 months ago that we were going to do this for the next year, and then
Wow.
reevaluate where we're at. And like I don't see it going away though. I mean, we have the business, we have the capability, and like I mean, what when we were talking about it, and it was brought up, it was like, why not? Like why
Mhm.
what like why wouldn't we? Like,
Right.
so there was literally zero like reasons when it was being brought up that we're against it. So I'm all about it. I think it's awesome. So for at least the next year, there's going to be a giveaway every single month. So at least that gives everyone the opportunity, to win a set.
And these sets of wheels are fantastic. They aren't the factory, like I just got them in the mail and we're shipping them off to you. I mean, these are Are you
So
customizing these sets or?
so there is limitations on it's not just like, oh yeah, here's a, pick your carbon hoop and your hydras. Yeah, it's not like,
Sure, sure.
it's not a $1,500 wheel set by any means. So um it comes with our, like, the hub that we've rebranded. So which is, it's like 108-point engagement. It's got like a double pawl system, a double ring drive system. So they're pretty bomb proof hubs. You get to pick like whatever, 27.5 or 29 alloy rim we have in stock. Like usually it's going to be a Flow EX3 because that's what we have the most of for alloy.
Okay.
And then you get to do any color nipples. I think you can do two accent spokes, and then you get to choose like the hub color. So it's like either orange, lime, red, blue, or black. So you get like 5 color choices, accent spokes, colored nipples. So and it is custom built. Like it's not like we have it hanging on the wall. Like after you win the giveaway, like we hit you up, we talk with you, and then we get your set, and then we build it for you. So yeah,
Dude,
it's not like just like factory set hanging on the wall. It's a custom set. Yeah, for sure.
that is awesome. Yep, that is good stuff. I will be putting my name in the hat for one of those myself.
And then if you
So,
win it, everyone's gonna know. Like we
dude,
collab.
this is fixed. Come on, Mark. Oh man. So on this part of the podcast, we went through YouTubers. I have a spot we call product spotlight, and I know that we talked about a lot of product, but is there one product or upgrade that you did to your bike? Like, is there one, or you could even be a sponsor to SpokeX? Like, what's one that you would want to highlight? It could be anything.
I'm like super stoked. Like, and Aaron got me stoked on it too. I just ordered my push shock. So
Ooh.
like I can't, like, I haven't ridden it yet, so I'm like can't speak on it, but I'm super stoked on that. But besides that, the let's see. I mean, yeah, I don't want to like put out the wheels because that's all we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Um, I I think one of my favorite products, man, there's two that keep popping back and forth between. Um, I'm gonna have to go with the 2021, the Zeb Ultimate. I'm bouncing back and forth between Access and the Zeb. I think they've both like done just like, and everyone's always asked like, is Access worth the upgrade money and blah blah blah, and like all I have to say is like just ride it and like then
Ooh.
decide. But the Zeb, like, just like completely, yeah, I was like, I'm always been like a Fox person. But when I rode the Zeb for the first time, like I was just blown away with like the small bump sensitivity that comes on that fork. Like, and RockShox just killed it with their new RC2 damper. I mean, that fork like exceeded my expectations like all the way through. And I'm trying to keep those things in stock. I really like, I've been meaning to get one for my decoy. But yeah, man, I think that would be, out of all the products I've tried this year. I mean, there's so many good ones that came out this year. I mean, from the new 2021 like SRAM drivetrains to the Fox lineup to the RockShox lineup. Push completely redid their shock this year. There's so many good options out there, but the Zeb definitely, I think, took the cake this year for sure.
That is great. Yeah, here we go. Trail Dogs MTB says push is the best, and shout out to Zeb the product. That's cool. You heard it from Hunter, and as you know, he's got a wide knowledge of bike parts, especially now being a shop owner with everything that he sees in orders. So check out the Zeb, and tell him Hunter sent you.
Okay.
So let's move into one of the last things that I like to do, Hunter, is I like to ask my guests some silly questions, and it's always fun just to watch how everyone answers these. But before you head in there, let's see. Trail Dog says, Aaron says, loving the Zeb, And then Adam from MTV Rad Dad says, once my hardtail is sold, I'm pretty sure AXS is getting ordered. LOL.
Axis is great.
There you go. There you go. So, Hunter, are you ready for the finale of the podcast where we move into some funny questions? And if you heard any of the podcasts, you may already know what I'm talking about here, but let's go ahead and pull these questions up. And we'll just do the top 5 here. So, the first question is, and let me know if you can see the screen. Can you see those questions there?
I'm on my phone.
Oh, that's right. I'll read them off to you. Okay, Hunter, question 1. Is cereal a soup, and why or why not?
God, that's a good one. I would say yes, for sure, because I mean, it's still like, I guess my classification for soup would be like something you're eating with a spoon and
Okay.
something that's majority liquid and like may or may not have like chunk, like it could either be pureed or not, but technically it's a soup. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, dang, look at that, man. Loved it. Even brought the whole why or why not. Question number 2 for Hunter. And this one, with this question, we never want to hurt anyone's feelings. So this is all in good fun. But what is the sexiest and least sexiest name?
I would say it's either like Gertrude or like Matilda. That would I probably wouldn't go out with you.
For the sexiest or least sexiest?
Least
No.
sexiest.
Okay.
Sexiest name? I don't know why. I was actually literally talking to my friend about this. Like, um, Krista's. Like, I don't know. Every single Krista like I've met has been pretty good looking. So
That's what there's
I'm gonna go with
actually
that.
with Krista. That's a good one. There's actually a new there's like a new channel out, and there are 2 local girls here. They're called MTV Newbies. They're here in the Temecula area. I don't know if anyone's come across them on Instagram or YouTube, but they're brand
I
new,
have
and
not.
they ride gear, but they're called I think they're called MTV Newbies with Boobies is their name, and one of the girls' names is Krista. So there you go. There you go, Hunter. Question 4. What is invisible but you wish people could see?
Wait, like an act. Like wait, actually,
Yeah, like anything that's invisible but you wish people could see.
what is invisible?
Like the wind.
Okay.
Yeah. You think it's superpower invisible?
I'm like, what? Um, yeah, sound would be super cool to see.
Oh, sick. That's a good one. Sound. That's a good one. All right. Question 5. Man, you're killing these. We may have to add just one more.
Go
Question
for it.
5. What's the weirdest smell you've ever smelled?
Like, so what's it called? It's when it's like rotting fat. Um, I can't remember. They came up with a new name for it. It's like another sense. You know what I'm talking about?
No, like a decomposing something?
It's kind of like decomposing, yeah, but it's like rotten. Like it's literally rotten fat.
Ooh.
It's so gnarly.
And
Um,
you've smelled this? Has anybody
I,
else smelled this?
it's like if you leave oil out for way too long.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just
Yeah.
looking for that right now.
You're gonna Google it. Is this a new category of smell? Is what
It
you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I was reading about.
Oh, dang. Hunter bringing the knowledge. While you're doing that, in the
Just go
chat.
for it. Just keep asking.
Yeah, no. In the chat here, Calavera Chronicles, MTB Rad Dad says, yes, I've seen their channel. They're talking about the MTB Newbies with Boobies. I think one of them got hurt. That's true. There's Aaron and there's Krista. And Aaron, I believe, is the one that was recently injured going OTB on overdrive. MTB A-Rod says, yeah, I broke her wrist, I think. Felt so bad for her. Adam's backing you up, says, I know the smell. MTB Rad Dad, I know the smell. Did you find it?
Dude, I can't find it.
Vegas Mike says, I agree with you with the sound, specifically music. I would love to be able to see music. And then Adam MTV Rad Dad says, I worked in a meat department. That's how he was able to smell that same smell you're talking about.
Got it. Yeah, I used to cook actually in the kitchen.
He says, it's the smell like the grease trap at a fast food place.
Like
Vegas Mike
pretty
is asking.
like pretty much like but like if it sat out like too long.
Ooh, ooh.
All right, hit me with another one though.
Okay, we're going to go to the final question, which is question 6. Is a hot dog a sandwich? And why or why not?
I mean, I'm not from Chicago, so I'm gonna say yeah because like if I was from Chicago, like my mom, like she would probably argue like because hot dogs like this like cultural thing, but like yes, it's a sandwich because it's between two pieces of bread, like plain and simple.
There you go. Hot dog is a sandwich by Hunter at SpokeX. Oh man, Hunter, dude, it was awesome having you on the podcast tonight.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you so
fun,
much
dude.
for sharing your story, being vulnerable about what you've overcome, and also being open and just being you. We are so happy to have you in this community of MTBers, MT mountain bikers. Love having you here locally too. It's great to be able to jump in the car and just go over to you and be like, dude, how many dents in my rim? Do I need help here? What's going on? um, but for the folks who maybe don't live in the area, but they want a good quality product from SpokeX, can you let us all know whether we're locally or far away? How do we keep in touch with SpokeX?
I mean, I blast my cell phone's probably got tossed around. I mean, it's on my business card, it's on the website. It's like right now it's pretty easy to get a hold of me. Probably gonna change that up because I'm getting a little bit, I'm trying to separate like my personal life and like my business life because they're like so like entangled, which
Mm,
I feel like is only healthy to like an extent. Like at a certain point, it's like hey, I need to go to bed now. Like
yeah.
so I definitely think that's gonna start changing. Like, but I think I'll always have like a cell phone on me that's like for business and people can always text me. Email is also a great way to get a hold of me. It's pretty easy to stay in touch with me. I'm like not great at responding to people all the time. I get so many text messages. So I do my best, but I always do get back to people. And I mean, yeah, I mean, like literally in my website, like look at the very top, like that's my cell phone,
Oh, no kidding.
straight
Holy
up.
cow. Is it so I won't put this out on the podcast because it lives there forever, but people can text you there, but is it better and would it be more effective if people emailed you instead or followed you on Facebook,
I
Twitter,
think
Instagram?
I think like Instagram and like I honestly think like email is probably the best way if you're like putting an order in because that way it's like there and
Okay.
it's not going to get lost. But like that phone like this that's my cell phone, but that phone is actually going to get converted to a business phone and I'm actually going to do a new line. So that's fine. You can put that out like if people text that number like I'll respond, eventually like I'm gonna just change it to the shop. Like you can also call the shop number too. Like
Okay.
if you go into Google or whatever and just type in SpokeX Bico, like the shop number pops up. Someone always will answer. But like if you're trying to get a hold of me though, like you should definitely hit me up. Because like I'm all about it. Like if it's during business hours, like I love to just chop it up with people about bikes and wheels and stuff like that. So I mean, it's not too big of a deal.
I love your passion around that. That's awesome. And where can people find you on what's your handle on Instagram?
So it's SpokeX underscore. Believe it or not, someone has an Instagram profile that's SpokeX,
Ah, those bastards.
and it's like a small child that's name is Hunter.
Oh
So
no, I'm sorry I said bastards. I'm take it back. I take it all back.
no, literally bastard. But like
That's crazy.
he has the same name as me. Like how random is
That
that?
that is a hunter that has a SpokeX handle. So if you want to get the adult hunter for wheels, it's SpokeX underscore on
Correct.
Instagram. And your website is just regular SpokeX.com, correct?
Facebook, and then Facebook's just fb.com/SpokeX LLC. Um, and if you just go to Google and type in SpokeX, like we pop up on Google, and there's a phone number to call there, all like where we're at, all that stuff. It's pretty easy to find us.
That's awesome. And your products are great. And how far out are you shipping in case we have audience members further out? All US or
I mean, global, but and our prices global are actually super competitive compared to most places. We can pretty much ship a wheel set anywhere in the world for about $130. Like domestic shipping anywhere in the United States is like right around $30, which is pretty solid for a wheel set because it's a big box.
that's super
Um,
solid. Wow.
uh,
Wow.
but so how far out are we? We are like it's really just it varies based on like what color hub and what we have available. We try to keep everything popular stocked. Like say you go with something that's in stock, like right now we're about 7 to 10 business days.
Damn. That's pretty good. Some places you can't even get a bike tune up that quick because the
No,
lines are so long.
dude, most bike tune-ups right now are like 3 weeks.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So your 7 to 10 day turnaround is amazing. If you're out there in the market for wheels, hubs, anything like that, give SpokeX a look. Hunter does a great job. He supports a lot of cool people, as you heard from this podcast, and you're supporting the owner, which is Hunter here, with his incredible story of resiliency and paving a great path to the future for him and a lot of other people.
Thanks,
So,
bro.
man, thank you, Hunter. Great talking to you, buddy. I really appreciate you being on the show. Thank you, everybody, for being on. And hey, look at this. MTB Rad Dad just gave you a follow on the Instagram. Already just followed SpokeX.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate that.
Anything in closing you want to say to everybody before we head out?
No, man, I think we covered most of it. I know I just appreciate, you having me here. This is actually a lot of fun, so
I loved having you, man. Thank you so much for being on the segment and rooting for you, brother. You're doing so many good things, and
thanks,
as
dude.
soon as my wheel acts a little funny, you know where I'm going. Heading over to SpokeX.
That's right.
All
That's right,
right,
dude.
guys. You guys have a great night. Thank you again for being on, and
Later, dude.
we'll see you on the next episode.
All right, guys. Bye.
See you guys.